Now that we've explored a little bit about the history of the global economic system before the 20th century, let's talk a little bit about the 20th century now, and particularly post-World War II global economic institutions. At this point in time, after the Second World War, the United States really emerged as a major global player, as the one country that really was significantly involved in not only global security relations, but in global economic relations. The United States, of course, played a very large role in helping to rebuild Europe, Asia, and other war-torn parts after the Second World War. As a part of that rebuilding process, the United States and its European allies began to establish a global financial system and various institutions that were really focused on global economic growth. Following the Second World War, there was a meeting that led to what we call the Bretton Woods economic system. The Bretton Woods economic system is composed of various financial institutions that were focused on global economic development and global economic growth. So institutions like the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, institutions that were really meant to help loan money and provide guarantees, help change and reconstruct financial institutions, infrastructure, so that all of these war-torn countries could redevelop. Another important financial institution after the Second World War and part of this Bretton Woods system is the GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. This is also the precursor to today's World Trade Organization. So through these organizations, countries are really trying to work together to help limit and reduce barriers to trade so that we can have a more open and free-flowing economy. There have also been very important regional organizations or regional institutions regarding the economy that have emerged. In Europe, shortly after the Second World War, the European coal and steel community emerged in order to regulate those particular commodities. Those commodities, coal and steel, were very important at that time to development. So there were agreements about trade regarding tariffs and quotas and barriers to trade to help share those goods across the European community. Now, the European coal and steel community eventually evolved into something called the European Economic Community, and then the European Community, and then the European Union. So you can see how this one regional economic institution actually expanded beyond particular commodities to regulating the entirety, really, of the economy in Europe. Outside of Europe, we also see other types of trade agreements emerging. NAFTA, for example, the North American Free Trade Agreement, is an agreement in North America between Canada, the United States, and Mexico that helps regulate or at least open trade between those three countries. Central America has also done this with an agreement called CAFTA, in collaboration with the Dominican Republic as well, to help open trade and reduce barriers in trade between Central American countries. Other economic institutions can be found all around the world, in Asia and Africa. So global institutions and regional institutions are very important for helping to regulate the global economy today. Other players are institutions like the G8, the Group of Eight, the 8 most wealthy nations in the world, the most industrialized nations in the world. You also have the addition of the G20, the 20 most industrialized nations in the world, the 20 wealthiest nations in the world. These groups get together and meet regularly to talk about issues of trade and finance and the importance of regulating or deregulating practices in the global community. Now there's an additional group, the Group of 77, the G77, has emerged in collaboration with the United Nations. This group is kind of a counter to the G8 and the G20 in that it's developing nations wanting to make sure that their voice is also heard in the global community. So institutions like the G8, the G20, the G77 are important players in today's global economy. Finally, it's important to mention a non-governmental organization called the World Economic Forum. This has become an important player in today's global economy in that it brings together owners of business, leaders of enterprise around the world to meet with government leaders to talk about the importance of global economic relations. So lots of governmental organizations, a non-governmental organization, and others are important today in helping us understand the institutional practices of global economic relations.